to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Board mission statement. Board, Tolosa Midway Independent School District educates every student to be a lifelong learner, a person of integrity, and a positive contributor to society. First order. She left. So there's no one else signed up for public comment. So we go into the discussion action items, and the first discussion item is to consider possible action to hire TASB Executive Search Service to conduct the superintendent search. We've gone through that other preliminary thing, and I'll make the motion that we hire TASB, Texas Association of School Boards Executive Search Services. Do we have a second, please? Thank you. And any comments, questions? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Now we'll discuss with TASB consultant regarding superintendent search process and approved search schedule calendar.
All right. Well, it's good to be here with you. I bring you greetings from Dr. Marion Strauss. I think you know her as well. She is suffering in Europe right now on vacation, and so she said, no offense, Tolosa Midway, Europe, I'm going to take Europe. So she said she'll be back with the next meeting that we have. So anyway, going on to other things, here is a draft timeline that we've come up with, and I think you can take some and pass them around. There should be enough for everybody. This is, remember, is an abbreviated search this time. Since we did the full meal deal, and this is the redo, we will not be conducting the community forums type thing that we have in the past. We go straight, because what we do is, since it's been so recent, we just use the same information that we received from the last time for this next time. So that's why you don't see that particular thing on there, okay? But as obviously today is the planning meeting.
Excuse me. Why won't we have that? I mean, things have changed in the community, as well as there's 2 new board members that weren't here last time.
The reason we don't is because it's a redo. If the board wants to do a full search, then we will add that back in, but it goes back to your original contract and the original amount that you were billed last time. This time it's just a fee and no fee. It's just expenses for this time.
Well, that's not what we were told, though. I mean, I thought we were going to get the full service, being that it was. I mean, that didn't work out this last time.
And that's your guarantee, but when we come back in and do a modified search on a redo, the community stuff is not involved.
I wish that had been brought up before we voted on this, because I wouldn't have voted for this then. Because the community needs to be involved with this one too.
And that was in the information that you received in the cover letter and everything. It was down at the bottom of the cover letter that discussed it.
Must have been in fine print that there was not going to be any community involvement.
No, it was not.
Well, I'd like to see that, because I don't remember seeing that. I read that whole thing. I don't remember seeing where the community is not going to be involved in a decision of this magnitude.
It was in that cover letter there that described it, that it was going to be abbreviated search, and that other portion was not.
Well, then I guess I didn't know what abbreviated search meant.
The thing that's being left out is the survey.
Yes.
So it's an online survey.
It's a community involvement, he said.
Could you describe the last community involvement, how it took place? I don't recall.
I don't think we
I was gonna say, I don't think we had one.
We didn't have, because of COVID, so we didn't have
Because of
any
COVID, right.
meetings or any of that stuff.
Now, what we can do, and we can do this and we won't have any charge, we can just do the online survey and that would be it. Same thing you
We
had
did
in the
that stuff
COVID.
last time.
That's what I was gonna say. I'd like to see like what the information was that the community gave you for the
Right.
prior superintendent.
Yeah,
'Cause
the
I
board
wasn't
should have
here,
that, but We
so-
should have, we'll have a record of that as well.
Okay, well,
Okay.
but let me ask you a simple question. If it wasn't the package for last time and it wasn't done for COVID, then you still owe us that service anyway.
No, it was done for COVID. We
Well, you
just
just
didn't
said-
do the in-person for COVID. And normally when we have, before COVID, we normally have in-person meetings, and we didn't do that.
Okay,
And
so
we're still
since
not
that
doing
wasn't
that
done,
because the fact of the matter is that we're not, people are still reluctant to come and visit with us. So we're just not getting any turnout, and so we're just using the online survey is what we're doing. But we can do the online survey again if you want to.
How many meetings would take place for in person, like a committee or survey?
How many would
Like I
there?
remember in the past, a previous superintendent, there was a committee form that came forward and spoke on what they wanted to see in the next superintendent. Is
Well,
that something y'all still do? Because I
Yeah,
know,
what we do is that we would have an afternoon meeting with staff that wanted to come, and then we would have a meeting with anybody in the community. And so that's what we've done prior to COVID. But since COVID has hit and we're still kind of coming in and out of that, we've just suspended all the in-person type of things. And we've done, we lock in and we really push the community survey. And, but the reason we didn't include it here is because the community survey, there could be changes, but we don't know. And most likely there's not going to be a great deal of difference. There could be, but we've not seen it in the past.
Would y'all want to have,
I would like for it to be in person so the community can come and voice their opinion. I mean, if that service was in the agreement for the last one, it hasn't been done. Our campuses are open, the state's open, everything's open. I mean, that's what the governor says, everything's open. So why can't y'all have an in-person? Well, you don't have, we can do social distancing. I think the community,
If we go through the full meal deal, then we'll revert back to the original contract, and that's going to be the full fee. So just so the board's aware of that.
but
Whatever
the
your
service
fee is-
hasn't been done, sir.
Yes, it was. And we can't control an active
Not asking you to
like
control
the
that.
COVID. We can't control that. So we worked within the auspices that you had. You were not open, and the community was not open, and we did that. So
The
that's why we did.
the online survey can work the same way. People can still voice their concerns or voice what they're looking for in a superintendent online.
How was
Just-
that notified, how was the community notified
Notified, yeah.
on the open online?
How was that, Christie? I think you guys did a lot of that.
On the website.
Yeah,
The
it was
link
on
was
your
on the
website, and it was pushed through your district's website.
And
So we did the work.
And
We attached it, we do the work, and we send you the link, and the link's placed on your website.
and y'all do the results of the survey?
We configure the results and send it to the board.
I mean, I think we can accomplish the same thing online.
how many, just, if you remember off the top of your head, how many replies did you get on that survey? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Butch, I don't remember that ever coming up. I didn't know how we got the community involvement or not. I just know that we were in need of a superintendent. Ours got ill and needed to be replaced. And I mean, the preliminaries of all that, I'm not gonna kid you, even if you told me 10 times, I probably wouldn't have remembered, to be honest.
Have any idea how many people went in online and did that? I do know it
I'm
was sent
just,
to.
I'm just saying
every
that if you reach out a fair number into the community, I think that the survey might be an okay aspect, not to increase any more fees to the community then.
Exactly.
I mean, because with everything that's going on, with the number of employees that will be involved at the end of this whole
Yeah, we can,
ordeal, I mean, we're looking at quite a bit of money.
I have the report here. You want me to print it for you?
yeah, what
Okay,
we
just
you put it on the
up there.
screen?
Um,
Take it to that one there and put it on?
They did report out to us what the community wanted and what the district employees were wanting, or looking for.
Yeah, because I mean, I know we came with a list of questions, that the questions come
Well, that,
from what the
those,
community was answering, and then we just got to pick the 8 questions we want, or the 6, 7 questions.
yeah, you got to pick, you pick the interview questions based on what the feedback.
From the input. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know, like, did the questions come from the questions that the community had?
There were like 100 questions, right?
Somewhere around there, so there was at least 100. I mean,
Because we
got to pick the ones that we felt were more.
the individual board member picked the one
Right,
that they
the one that they wanted.
thought that they would fit the
Right.
best. And we went through the whole process, if you recall. I know Ben and Kim had been through it. Every time we did an interview, we all
7/21,
asked the same
2020.
question each time. So everybody would get whatever the response was.
do you want to, do you need me to move this or? how do you want to-
Shoot, I can't see that for
Only 12 pages.
So 62%.
There were a total of 45 comments that came in.
Print that out for y'all real quick.
I'd like to have a copy of that.
Now, if it pleases the board, what we can do, if you want the survey, we can click that survey on, like, starting Wednesday and run it all the way to the end of January, if you go with this particular timeline. So you'd have plenty of time to have.
For people to be able,
Yeah,
even with the
most of December
holidays.
and January to have input.
Yes, well, if that's agreeable, that would
be
give
good.
additional people more time to voice their comments and concerns and
So would be the-
desires.
And the community outreach would be till the end of January.
And we would send you each a report, just like this, at the end of January. And that's before would be on this, an application deadline date of February the 16th. So that gives you plenty of time to kind of dissect it, look at it, and things like that.
I remember correctly last time, that's what we did. We got that, and then after the applications came through, then we got the list. And I understand that y'all have videos with some of them now?
Yeah, see, I'm gonna talk about that in
Okay,
just a few
okay.
minutes,
Okay.
which is different than what you had before.
She had to go to her desktop to print that.
Okay. So,
Well, while she's doing that, we can move on. If you look at your calendar, the application deadline date we have right now is Wednesday, February the 16th. Okay, it stays open starting tomorrow, and it'll stay open all the way through that date. And so that's a good period of time. Of course, you have to factor in the holidays and things like that, but it gives you the entire month of January and some of February to have everything, you'd have any applicants that log in. Then we would be back with you on Monday, March the 2nd. And that's the date, that's a critical date because that's when we would be going over all the applicants that particular day on March 2nd, which is a Monday.
So you'll bring all applicants?
You will see all the applicants. The
Okay.
applicants will be emailed to you,
Okay.
okay? Now, as Paul mentioned, one thing that's different than you had the last time is we now have a video component inside the application, okay? And what it has is that there's 3 specific questions that we ask. One of them is like, why do you want to be superintendent of our district? And so you have a video of the person responding to that question. So you see them and their response in advance before you ever select anybody to come in for interview. And so all those will be embedded inside the application, which is different than you had last time, because last time you didn't see anybody until they showed up. This time you get to see the people, how they respond to the applications and things like that, which is a brand new thing that we just instituted. Actually, we've had 2 other districts that have gone through that, and the boards really liked it. They really enjoyed hearing them and seeing them and how the candidates respond to those particular questions. So Monday, March 2nd, yes, sir.
But I'm sorry for stopping you right there. On the video series, on the questions that you're asking, does that mean that if I was interviewing, let's say I'm getting a job interview through Ms. Boone, and she passes on me, does that video just stay for everyone else to do the interview, or do they go back and update these? Are the questions provided or something in the district's needs, or are they just general questions?
They're just the general questions. Basically what it's for is just that you see the candidate and how the candidate can respond to a particular question. Now, they can't just take that video and go to, just take it and paste it like that. They have to, because all that goes away. And so they have to respond to these.
They have to do a new video every time they apply?
Every time.
Okay, no, it's just because we had a couple that were a little fidgety and things like that, and believe it or not, with me, I felt they were too nervous, like how can you be nervous for a job interview and expect to get the job, it's.
Yeah, you'll see.
And at that time, we needed somebody with confidence, and
you'll see somebody, and you'll see the ones that, exude that confidence and things like that. And some, they don't know what's sometimes behind them when they're doing a video, and so they have all sorts of things, you can see behind them and those types of things. And so, the whole purpose of it gives you an idea of who they are prior to you selecting your group to come in for an interview.
Okay.
And so it gives you, they only have 1 minute to respond to each question. And so they can take a retake, but they only get 2 chances. So they've got to select one or the other of their responses. And once they're satisfied with it, they put it inside themselves. So we don't select it for them. They do it all on their own.
And I hate to say this, but mine was a 2-part question in case nobody else noticed. And I noticed you had 2 timelines like we did the last time, and you did 3 days again. I think the 8 came up by board decision. Are we going to stay with? Is the board going to stay with 8 or go down to 4?
That
We'll
was.
wait till the applicants come in.
Yeah, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, we added.
Didn't we do 6, John?
We thought. I
We
thought
added 2?
Was it 6
I
and
thought we
a half,
did 2
2?
each night, and then
Yes, we
there were
had.
2 that came in late, or not late, but
No.
interest.
We had, initially was a 6, and then through discussion, it went about, and someone wanted a particular one, and we said, well, let's keep it where it's even.
Right.
Yeah,
So we
that's
went
what-
to 8, but 6 is normal, isn't it?
Yeah, 6 is what most boards go with.
6.
Yeah, I noticed.
98% of our boards go with
Right, and
6.
since I was here, I noticed, I was saying we're missing two a date there. But, but.
What you're saying is true. When you start looking at the applicants, and we're, here to, go through those things with you, then you can decide at that point, if you want to increase it to 8, if you do.
Okay.
I've had some boards increase it to 9.
Right.
And, but that's rare, but it happens. And the way that I tell boards, and I know Dr. Strauss will say the same thing, is that, we actually want this person to stay here for a while. And so, if it takes an extra hour and a half or 2 hours of your time as board, then, it might have to take that just to get the right person, because you don't want to miss somebody. It could be a potential. So that's what we, why we do what we do. So anyway, on March the 2nd, we will be here with you if you'll notice on March 16th, and this is, Ms. Boone, for your information, since you weren't here on the last one, is that on the 17th of February, all the board members, each individual board member will receive a email from us, and it will be the candidate's information. It'll be password protected. So you'll have to create a username and a password to get in. So you'll be able to see that, all the information of the candidates, okay? You'll have their application in there, their resume, their transcripts, and their certification, as well as the video component, okay? So you'll have all that to go through. And we give you several days because we want you to have time to go through that, all that information, and before we come back on the 2nd. And so what we want you to do, in between that time, we want you to go through as board members and look at all that information, and then select candidates that you said, hey, I like this person a lot, and then not so much about this person here. And come to that meeting on the 2nd with that information. So when we get to that meeting, then we're going to go and make sure that all the board, we're going to place all the candidates up on the board, and then we'll go through each one of those names that's been placed on the board, and then the board will select who you want to come in for an interview, okay? And we're going to give you information that you don't have. We're going to, tell you some things about people and different things like that. So that way you can make an informed decision. It's like I tell boards, you don't have to listen to us. You can select who you want to. We encourage you to listen to us, but that's your decision, not ours. And ours is just to provide you that information. Okay?
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
On my calendar, March the 2nd is Wednesday. And it's Ash Wednesday.
That's why Dr. Strauss is the one who made this for me.
Okay, well, she was excited about going to Europe.
Yes, she was. In fact, she made this the day before she left for
Uh-oh.
Europe.
Well, we'll have to
Which,
talk
that's,
to her about
that's
that.
intercession, and isn't that intercession? We're out of school that week as well as some training in Galveston.
March the 2nd?
I believe so.
Yes, it's the TASB conference in Galveston
Yes.
on March the 2nd.
Okay.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay. Then we will move that. What date would you like to have it on?
Well,
We'll just change it right here.
The district's closed that whole week.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the week after that?
That would be the 7th.
You would run into your interviews.
Well, then
Well,
we'll just bump those
that
in.
gets moved
Leave that
forward. So the 7th is a Monday. John, you said that Mondays work better for you, correct? Is that okay with y'all?
Yeah, it's fine with us.
So that would be Monday the 7th?
All those down the line.
And then your interviews would be
Will be moved to the following.
15, 16, 17, and then we have a board meeting on the 21st.
That's the way it was.
That'll work.
That's how it worked
That's
last
what I was
It'll
last
work.
time. In fact, we had more meetings because we interviewed 8.
Was that the following week is the 16th, 17th, 18th that we have?
Yes.
15, 16, 17, yes.
Or 15, 16, 17?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So obviously the
14th is on too.
14th will be moved.
To what, 21st?
That's your regular board meeting day.
Okay, so what I have now is Monday, March the 7th as the review of applications. And then we have a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, March 15, 16, 17 for your interviews. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And then we'll bump that Monday, March 14th. Down. Now, when we get to that, let's go ahead and set a date for that, just in case. But sometimes Dr. Strauss and I, we like to come in after your last interview. Saves you from having to come back to another meeting with us, and we just get it all done that one night. It's a long night, but sometimes we like to get it done and it's over with then for your second round review. But let's set a date for the following week, just in case we can always move that and change it.
We have a board
On the
meeting on the
21st.
21st. Board meeting's on the 21st.
Is that Monday the
To the
21st?
18th.
It's a regular board meeting.
Then we could tie it to that. You know,
Okay.
if we just, even, Paul, we can come in maybe a few minutes early and do it, and we can get out of your hair and be going.
Okay.
Because that meeting won't last 30, 40 minutes at all.
Because our meetings normally start at 7, so
So you coming in at 6 would be
We
perfect.
could come in at 6 or 6:15, and we'll be done by your regular meeting.
March 21st. It's another Monday, so we'll go with that.
That's the prepare for.
At 6.
Prepare for follow-up.
At
Prepare
6.
for the follow-up interviews.
21st, that's our board meeting at 7. We're gonna do this at 6.
And the board is-
Now, if you want to, it'll make it a long week, but if you want to, you can keep with the following dates, the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th as your follow-up interviews. And remember, that's one candidate per night.
With their family.
But you'd have it done, but, you know, we can do it whatever way you want to do it. We can move it to the following week if you prefer. Strictly up to y'all.
I'm good with
I was
this.
gonna say, I think that's the only way we'll get back on track.
Yeah.
Well,
Up to y'all.
That's with the spouse, that interview, right, family?
And it brings their spouse.
Yeah, and it's one interview per night.
It's just that y'all would be making that choice that Monday evening, and you'd have less than 24 hours to let the first person know that they're scheduled the very next day.
Well, what we will do is on
Yeah,
the
there's-
17th,
yeah, it's,
on the 17th, Paul will call us and will let us know who the board has selected. And so they'll
You already know
already
that.
be scheduled by then.
So the follow-up is not, that's not the selection of that,
Yeah,
okay?
the follow-up is just to prepare the board for the second round.
Okay.
That's basically all that is. But on the 17th, we'll make the calls to the candidates that the board wants to bring back for a second round interview.
So you narrow it to 3?
Yes. Well, that's generally what we narrow it to.
Okay.
Except,
But we can always add Friday.
right. Except Caldwell, they went through theirs and they had it scheduled for 3, and the board president called me and said, Butch, we're gonna waste everybody's time. We've already got our guy. We don't want anybody to come back. We just want to take them. And I went, okay, are you sure? He said, I'm absolutely sure. I said, okay, I'm going to tell you the script. The script is, it's always best to go through the second round interview. And he says, okay, I will accept that. I said, but I can tell you the board said this is who they want. That's who they went with. I went, okay, that's fine with me. It's your decision, not mine.
they must have, that's a rare one.
Yeah, it's, they were very happy. I mean, he told me it was number 1, and then it was 2 and 3. And he said, I can tell you right now that we can bring them back. He said, but it's only going to waste their time and our time. I said, well, I don't want to waste anybody's time, so do what you feel like is best. So they did, but that's rare. So the script is, let's go through the whole thing. Okay, so we're going to try to stay on track on the 22, 23, 24 for your second round, correct? Okay. So then, that, as Marcella said, that's when the candidate brings their spouse, their little social. Did y'all have that last time? Little social at the front end. Candidate spouse leaves, that you have the candidate in for the second round interview. Okay. And then if you take a site visit, now I will tell you that right now, 85, prior to COVID, 85% of the boards took a site visit. And since COVID has hit, only 15% have chosen to take a site interview. So, that's strictly up to the board, but when we get down to that point, we can make that decision.
We opted out on that last time. We opted out on that because of COVID.
Yeah.
Campuses were all closed.
Yeah, they were all closed.
Yeah, most of the districts were closed.
Yes.
Now that they're opening back up, some of our boards they're still reluctant to go, but that would be, when we get down to that time, we will see. how you feel about it. Then right now, you're scheduled to name your lone finalist on Wednesday, March the 30th. Remember, that's when the candidate's name becomes public at that point. Up until then, you'll be signing that confidentiality agreement, meaning that once you get the candidate's information, that you'll not discuss that with anybody at any time until Gabriel blows his horn. And you know when that is. Okay? The only person you can talk about is the lone finalist. Okay? And then you are set to vote to hire the new superintendent on Thursday, April 21st, if all goes well. You can't push it in, but you can push it out. So, because you have to wait for 21 days.
And just with this particular timeline, most respectable superintendents or perspectives, should I say, would, let's say they're a seated superintendent or an assistant. Normally they would, like a seated superintendent, probably wait till the end of the year, wouldn't they?
Chances are that's correct.
Yes. As for assistants or something like that, that could be different. But it gives April, May, and graduation. That 'cause
Graduation's May 19th.
yeah, May 19th, see. So either way, I think that it would probably be better for them to come in, and then, because we start in July, so they,
Right.
in June, at least, give them time to become accustomed to everything. Meet people, go around everything like that.
And that's fine, and I think, the only thing we discourage is that we don't want somebody coming in during the lone finalist period.
Right.
Simply because they're not an employee at that point, but after you hire them, of course, whatever you
Yes.
want them to do, that would be up to you and the candidate.
So the applications are going to open tomorrow, is that what you said? Or when
They'll open, yes, tomorrow.
Okay, so my question is, what are the qualifications that our district has for a superintendent?
There are 6 qualifications that we've standardized, and over the last 5 to 8 years of doing these things, we've kind of put all of them that boards had discussed and said that they were looking for into 6 embedded things that we have inside the application. And they have to do with community involvement, they have to do with communication, they have to do with finance, they have to do with curriculum instruction, and there are 2 other ones that I can't recall of what they are. And what happens with that is that the candidates have to respond and write a narrative based on how their career has been applicable to each one of those, okay? And then, then it gives you an opportunity to read not only their resume or their cover letter or their letter of interest, but also inside the body of the application as well. So technically you have 3 different areas that you can read about them in and what they've done in their career and how they performed in their career, if you will. And so in 3 different locations.
So there's not like a minimum degree or a minimum of years of experience? You don't get any of that?
There's not a minimum. There are some things that most candidates, and the way it's broken down is that it's broken down when you get the information. It's broken down to superintendent experience, followed by assistant or deputy superintendent area, and then below that's high school principal and all forth, okay?
Kim, you could go in and set your parameters and say, I only want someone with so many years of experience, and only those people would show up.
Okay.
Or you can say, no, we want just someone who's never done anything, and they'll show up.
It's a rather,
It's like a spreadsheet, but.
yeah, it's like a spreadsheet. You can filter things, or you can look at everything and all that. And it's very, should I say, it gets rather detailed in some aspects of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what they
Yeah.
were going to be seeing when they opened up the application and what we were I mean, because that is what we're looking for, so you kind of want to know what the application says.
There's
that
some
where you-
standardized things like, number one, you have to have a master's degree, superintendent certification. You know, we look at that. Some will not have their certification, but, you know, when I work with boards, I say, you know, remind boards that this person is not yet certified. And so, you know, they have to be certified. You know, in the state of Texas, be a superintendent of schools. And so, you know, some boards say, well, what does it take, you know, what if we hired this person and they weren't certified? Well, number one, the law says you've got to be actively enrolled in a superintendent certification program, and then the board has to petition the Commissioner of Education, and the Commissioner of Education has to respond to the board. So that's why I say it's always good to err on the side of somebody that's already fully certified, and you don't have to worry with all that then. So, but, you know, again, very rarely would a board ever consider someone what. The only reason they would consider that if that person was an internal candidate and we're going to hire them no matter what. And, you know, our job is to explain to them what they have to do. Then after that, it's up to them.
So as far as education, a master's is where they have to be at, not a doctorate?
A master's, a doctorate's preferred, but, you know, it's not a requirement for a doctorate.
But how about if we want it?
If you want to, you as a individual board a board member can determine, I want somebody with a doctorate. But another board member might not necessarily think that's true. So when you go through their information, you'll see that. It'll be listed in there. And if you want just someone with a doctorate, then when we come down to that meeting on the 7th, you know, that'll come out.
It's a learning experience to go through all the different applicants. And you get a lot of education, should I say, on different people's paths and what they've done and their aspirations. And, you know, a lot of it, you know, some of them have done quite a few things in a few years. There are some of them, I remember one time there was a gentleman, I always think I remember where he was from. He was a superintendent, and he had been there for a number of years, but apparently he was wanting to move up, you know, from like it was a 2A, I think it was. He wanted to move up and go to school. So you get all that information, you know, read through it all. You have ample.
You know, that happens. You know, some superintendents, they do well in the lower areas, and they say, you know, I've done all I can do here, and they want to move to a different challenge, a bigger school district. And, you know, that's kind of a natural progression, you know, you know, and that's even in business. You know, people want to move up the chain. And, but, you know, the thing is, it's just because they want to move doesn't mean that they're ready and prepared to move. And so there's a difference in that, yes.
But the last time we did this, we did the follow-up interviews. I think that night y'all gave us the option that we could call for the finalists, or did we vote the name of the finalists, or I think we cut one of these days out, or besides the site visit.
Yes, you can do that. Like, for example, I'll give you the example of Caldwell. Caldwell, they kind of wanted to go ahead and have name the lone finalist the night after that interview. And the problem was they didn't put it in the agenda to do that. And so they had to wait. But you can, as long as it's posted on the agenda, you can do that. That's strictly, you know, up to you, the board.
I mean, it's not that big of a day difference, really, to tell the truth. Yeah, because we still have to give them those certain number of days, right?
Yeah, you still have to give them at least.
I think the reason we did it early was because we didn't do a site visit, and so we'd have to wait for that.
Well, I wonder if they're doing like virtual visits now.
Well, they were doing them then too, but we just didn't do that either, so.
It's hard
Well,
to
I
find
suggest we
anybody
do it
that's-
this time.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to do it because I've been on site visits before and some of them were good. Others weren't, but this was a strange circumstance that we had with the COVID and everything. There wasn't even, some people you couldn't even get in on a, you know, because districts were closed, to have a Zoom with them, and that was everything. But if you remember from the last time, I guess it was that they helped, y'all, TASB helped guide us during the steps of everything. So they didn't just throw us out there and leave us alone. So they had several representatives on different occasions, different meetings and everything like that. So that was good. But the,
Yeah, we should all be here on your, when you review. So we should,
yeah.
myself and Dr. Strauss and Craig, I think, will be here as well. All three of us.
And it's the thing is it's, you've got to devote a lot of time and energy to go through the applicants and everything, because it does take quite a bit of time.
And thank you for mentioning that. Please do your homework in that. Go through the applicant information. Don't just wait till the last day and think you can get it all in, because you can't. You can't get it all in. You know, what I tell boards is, you know, once you get your information, spend about an hour or two and just kind of briefly scan, you know, the candidates and say, okay, create a yes, maybe, and no. And in the yes column, you know, write the ones that kind of sparked your interest just on the glance. And then go through the maybes. And then the no's you don't have to deal with. But come back and focus on the maybes and the yeses and see how they, you know, how they work. And come down to a reasonable number of, 8 to 10 names that you say, I can live with this list. And doesn't mean they're ones you're going to interview, but it's ones that, you'd be interested in knowing about. And so, that's the thing. So spend some time, with that. And, now you've got the video, so that's going to take a little bit more time to do. Yes, ma'am.
On the, going back to the date on the district survey, community survey, what dates will that be? How long will that be open to the district or community to
Oh, the
respond to
community
that survey?
survey?
Yes, sir.
We should have it to Chrissy by Wednesday. And it'll stay open all the way through January, to the end of January.
Okay.
Should get-
And that'll be on the website so that the community's aware?
It'll be on your website.
So that will work and everything, all that.
Now, this, we don't want you to vote to approve this calendar simply because we just want to agree to it. Because if we have to come back and make a change, then we have to come back into a meeting and make the date change and the time change. Whereas if we just agree we're going to go with this, then we can just, the board could come into a meeting and say, hey, we need to modify this date, and Paul, give me a call or give Dr. Strauss a call, and we can make the change that way. So that way it's a much smoother process than have to formally approve, because that creates a motion, and then you have to have another motion at a different meeting if you had to change something. And just, if we agree that we're going to work with this for now, then we'll move forward with that.
Which brings up an interesting point. Everybody is good with the way that we talked about it Monday, March the 7th, to review applicants, and then initial interviews on I guess it'd be 2 on the 15th, 2 on the 16th, and possibly 2 on the 17th, correct?
Correct.
And then on the 21st, prepare for follow-up interviews, and that's before 21st board meeting, which shouldn't take that long. And then the very next day, next evening at 7 o'clock, there'll be one interview with one of the three, and that's with the family and everything. Now, that one takes a little longer than the initial one. Now, for those that have not been through the process before, how much time should be allotted for each interview? Because the questions are all structured and everybody asks the same question, right? So,
You have to forgive me because I keep getting under the impression that you've all been through this, but you haven't. But let me, okay. First round is, if you'll recall, is scripted. Okay, it lasts 90 minutes and that's it. And so you'll have scripted questions that evening for the first round, okay? Everybody will be asking, you'll ask a total of 21 questions that evening.
Have they been given those questions?
No, they do have any idea of what questions you're asking, okay? Because we want them to be able to articulate an answer to you.
They've seen that list of questions though, haven't they?
No, they've not. Okay. And if they have, they can come back and say, oh, I remember that question. Well, they might have remembered a question from a previous interview, but they don't remember all 21 of them, I can tell you that, for sure. Unless they have some sort of amazing photographic memory. And I haven't run across any of those that have that yet. But that's how the first round works, okay? It's very formatted, there's no deviation, and that's how it runs through. On the second round is a little different. The second round is more open-ended, more of a dialogue, conversational style interview. And that way you can kind of dive deep. There are no scripted questions on the second round. So it's questions that you can maybe have derived from the first round of interviews and thought, I'd like to kind of ask this or go into a little bit more depth in this question, okay? To use a poor analogy, the first round is kind of the first year of law school. It's the weed out year. Okay, so the first round is kind of, only 3 of these folks are going forward. The rest of them are not. And so we want to kind of get the ones that we feel like have the kind of a best fit or had a good feel about them or answered the questions, and then we move into the second round, and then we'll see how they respond in the second round. As I said, it's scripted. It's not scripted. It's not timed in the second round. So it can go as long or short as you want it to go. So those are the different things. And we want you to see them in a more formal, structured atmosphere. And then we want you to see them more of in a dialogue, relaxed conversation atmosphere. See if you can see any different nuances or things like that you might have not. Well, I didn't see that on the first round or something like that. Those things are important. That make sense?
thank you. Yes, that's very helpful for Ben and Kim. Helps us remember as
You have
well.
been through this again. My apologies.
Does everybody feel comfortable with the timeline as it's set up?
It's a lot of meetings.
It is a
And it's,
lot of
it's
meetings.
a third of your month right there. So it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Hunting season's over, I don't care.
Get used to it. It's every day.
It will be, and I will tell you, we will tell you this again, it's an intensive process. And, we've had boards say, man, my family, they don't even know who I am. I've been up to school so much in meetings, and it could be, I mean, it's gonna be an investment of your time. That's what the process is. And, but it's a thorough process, and it's important that we get this right. You get this right.
Yeah, we have students and staff in a community depending on us
Yeah.
to get it right.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're right.
Everybody comfortable with it?
Yes.
I'm good. We can agree on that timeline then. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be adjusted, correct? So
Exactly.
it's something we're going
We can make the change if needed. Just understand that anytime there's a change, it ripples. Just gotta throw the rock in the pond, it's gonna ripple out, so it moves other dates. But that's okay. I mean, you wouldn't be the first boards we've ever had to change a timeline for. So if it happens, it happens. We just adjust it as we have to.
And y'all update us with a new timeline, correct? Yes.
Christine will be sending that to you.
That's what you did last time.
And the thing about it is that this is good because we get these dates out on our website so the candidates know and kind of have an idea of when things are going to take place. And so it gives them an idea. And so that's what, we've already gotten questions about when are they going to post their, when's the timeline going to be posted? So this helps us and helps them.
Any other comments, questions, anybody?
Thank you, Butch.
You're quite welcome. Now, just because you don't see my face doesn't mean that we're not working on your search. So we are. But you will see all of our faces back here March the 7th. But before that, you're going to be getting some emails from us, so be prepared for that, okay? So, and then don't forget on the, I think it was February 17th is the date you'll be getting that email, okay? So that's important, not just you, but all the board for that. Everybody will be getting the email. And the main thing that we say is that if you haven't gotten an email by the end of the day on the 17th, get in touch with Chrissy or Paul and say, hey, I hadn't gotten, check your spam, because sometimes your thing, it'll hit it and it'll shoot it to spam, so check that as well before you make the call. But if you haven't gotten it, don't wait on that, let us know, because we'll get on it right away and get it to you, okay?
The material should be here on the 17th, correct?
17th of February, correct.
So everybody be looking for it by the end of the day. And remember that, as you said, you have to set up a user ID and password, correct?
That's correct.
It's not
There'll
the
be instructions that you'll go through, and you'll follow those instructions, and you'll get right in. If for some reason you can't access that information, and as I said, let us know right away so we can fix that for you.
Because it is a learning experience when you first get into it, do the filters and everything else. Because, it doesn't just pop right out and tell you. You have to look at it and research it. It's fairly user-friendly. So, if you have any problems, let me know, and we'll let Tasby know, or let Chrissy know, and let everyone know. So
If Christina's at,
she gets tagged for everything. Okay, well, if everyone is happy with the timeline, present, is there anything else that you'd like to mention, since we have two people that have been?
We're going to be working hard.
Yes, sir.
You get your information, we're going to be expecting you to work hard. Because remember, on our end, we can see how many times you've logged in and looked at the information, because we will make sure that you spend some time inside that application thing. So, Big Brother will be watching.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because I think someone said that last time, you or Dr. Strauss. So, everybody spent the time, as I recall.
It's important, and I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of information, it's important that you go through it. Okay?
It is a lot.
All right, folks.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you, and welcome to the new ones. And so I haven't lost the board yet, so we'll get to it. Okay? I promise you, we'll get to it. Now that hunting season's over, we'll sure get it.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you all, good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Okay, that concludes that portion of it. Ms. Cordia, is there any closed session items?
No, there's none.
There is no closed session items. Is there any further business?
No.
There's no further business. Entertain a motion to adjourn. John, Ben seconds. All those in favor? Thank you very much. It's going to be an experience.
Next meeting.
Yeah, well, excuse me, it is 6:54 PM, December the 6th, 2021. This meeting is adjourned.